Okay. If the ministry of death carved with letters on stones, on tablets of stones, came with glory. Now we have here this conjunction of result, hoste. We can translate it with the result, but we're going to translate it in so much as, and we have two infinitives right here, plus the negative, me. Dunastai, this is the present active infinitive of dunamai, not able, not able. And then we have a second infinitive, athenisai. This is the aorist active infinitive of athenizo, to stare at. In so much as not able to stare at, to stare. Okay, to stare. And so we have here, because we have the infinitives, we have an accusative, and it's something that you know about the accusative, the infinitive, is that the accusative often functions as the object of the verb in the infinitive. And so what do we have here? Tus, huius, we have the sons, and then the genitive of relationship, the sons of Israel. And these are the descendants of Israel. This is the kingdom of Israel. When Moses gave them the law, when he took them out, as the Exodus generation took them out of Egypt, these are called the sons of Israel, the kingdom of Israel. And so, in so much as the sons of Israel were unable to stare, unable to stare, and then eis plus the accusative of direction, into to prosopon. This is the accusative of face, prosopon, the face, and dative, the genitive of possession of Moses, Mouseos, into the face of Moses. Okay? Insomuch the children, the sons of Israel, were unable to stare into the face of Moses. And dia plus the accusative of doxan, because of the glory. And we have here the article, anaphoric article, pointing up here to this glory, the glory that became, the glory of the old ministry, the old covenant. And so it points up here, this same glory. Because of this glory, tu prosupu, now we have the same noun, but now it's in the genitive. Because of this glory of the face, of his face, we have the possessive genitive of the personal pronoun autos. Of his glory, because of this glory of his face, and we have an articular participle of, here we have thein, katargomenein. So it's the articular participle of katargeo, present passive participle. And we see this word many times. We saw that in 1 Corinthians chapter 13 about the temporary spiritual gifts of the pre-canon stage of the church age, how they were going to be pushed aside, they were going to be unemployed. So this is also talking about that was going to be it was going to be set aside, sorry. How did they translate it? Transitory, though it was, okay. So we have here the articular participle, and that is katargeo. And as we're going to translate it, it's going to be set aside or fade out. Katargomenin, the present tense, it's a progressive present. It describes something that's going to be moved aside, that's going to be set aside, that's going to be abrogated. This glory, it points to the glory over here, the glory that was going to fade away. And so the passive voice, that glory, receives the action of the verb, because this is an articular participle, and a participle also has the elements of a noun. And what do we see here? The accusative singular. And so where do we find the accusative singular over here? Doxan. So this participle points to doxan over here. Doxan is the subject of this participle. And so the participle is articular. We see thein, the article right here. Thein. And so now we can be sure that it goes back to doxan. the glory of his face, which was fading, which was being set aside, which was fading. I'm going to translate it fading for now. If I have to change it, I'll change it in a bit. But let us continue right now with our translation. If the ministry of death, carved with letters on stones, came with glory, yes, insomuch as the sons of Israel were not able to stare into the face of Moses because of this glory of his face, which was about to fade. And now let's look at a passage in the Old Testament so that you can see where we get this. And that's in Exodus chapter 34, verse 30. The radiant face of Moses. The context of this is that, as you recall, when was it? Numbers 20 or so, before he went to the Mount Sinai, somewhere, a huge mountain. This is where the glory of the Lord was, the cloud. And so Moses, puny Moses down here, went up there. And he went up there for 40 days and 40 nights. He went up there and was speaking to the Lord, and the commandments were written down on the tablets. And this was the first time that he went to the Mount of Sinai. When he came down, all the children, all the sons of Israel, all the Israelites, imagine 2 million people, they became desperate and they started worshiping an idol, made themselves a calf of gold. They started worshiping around it. They started fornicating. In fact, 1 Corinthians chapter 10 talks about that. So he came down, Moses, he saw that, he became so angry that he broke the tablets, with the result that he had to go a second time. So he finally went a second time. And the same thing happened. He was up there. And this is where we're at right now. The radiant face of Moses. When Moses came down from Mount Sinai with the 2 tablets of the covenant in his hands, he was not aware that his face was radiant. So this was the glory. Glory is often a manifestation of something. His face was radiant because he had spoken with the Lord. It is inevitable. If you're going to have a relationship with God, your face is going to shine. And I'm not here talking about becoming a Pentecostal and you recommending that you'll go in there and pray in your closet and you're going to come out with a shiny face. Forget about it. I'm not talking about this. What I'm simply saying it is going to happen that if you have a relationship with God, if you're advancing in the spiritual life, your face is going to shine. I'm not going to get into the specifics. All we know right now is that Moses' face was shining, was radiant, because he had spoken with the Lord. Verse 30, when Aaron and all the Israelites saw Moses, that his face was radiant, and they were afraid to come near him. Verse 31, but Moses called to them. So Aaron and all the leaders of the community came back to him, and he spoke to them. Verse 32, afterward, all the Israelites came near him, and he gave them all the commands the Lord had given him on Mount Sinai. 33, when Moses finished speaking to them, he put a veil over his face. Why did he put a veil over his face? Because he did not want the sons of Israel to see that the glory was fading away. And that's what we have in our verse 7, how the glory was fading away. But whenever he entered the Lord's presence to speak with him, he removed the veil until he came out so that he can receive a little bit more of that shine. And when he came out and told the Israelites what he had been commanded, they saw that his face was radiant. Then Moses would put the veil back over his face until he went in to speak with the Lord. And so you could see that he put on the veil so that they wouldn't see that the glory was fading away. And this is the nature of the Old Covenant. The Old Covenant, that were not the realities. Why did I delete this? They were not the realities. They were merely pointing to the reality that was going to come, the Lord Jesus Christ. And this is the type of glory that it had, the type of radiance, one that was fading away, illustrating how the Mosaic Law was about to be set aside. It was going to be fulfilled by the Lord Jesus Christ because the reality would be what arrived. And once the reality arrives, there's no need for the Mosaic Law, the shadows, as per Hebrews chapter 10.